want to turn the channel, go ahead, fool. Turn the channel.
We've seen midgets grow. Mandada basata. I don't make this stuff up.
Warlocks are enemies of God.
A lot of people who go into prison go into prison straight, and when they come out, they're gay.
Science is interesting, and if you don't agree, you can f*** off.
Well, I'm not too righteous, but on the other hand, I think you're a bit of a ding-a-ling.
If you want to learn something about God, shut your mouth and listen to me for a minute.
Welcome, everyone, to the AxPx podcast, Season 3, Episode 2. I am your host, Sean DeRigger. I'm pretty excited about today's episode. As we've done in the past on the show in October, it's the perfect time to bring in some more, conversation about ghosts and paranormal and things like that. Last week, of course, we were discussing horror movies. This week, I'm very pleased to have a ghost hunter on the show, Ray Friis. Ray, welcome to the AxPx podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So I've had a paranormal researcher on before when I first started up the show, and it's one of those things that I've always had people ask me to bring more on. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, with October rolling around, I figured, might as well start looking. And then my friend of mine named Brad, he had interviewed you for, I think, a paper he was writing or something like that.
Yes.
And so he contacted me and sent me your way. So thanks for agreeing to talk. My first kind of question where I want to start off with, and then we'll go from there as far as your background. What, since we approach things from this podcast from a religious background, interested in, people's, where their foundation is as far as that stuff goes. What's your religious background, if any?
I am Catholic.
Okay.
And, actually when I was born, I didn't have the best chance of living, so it was immediate that I would be baptized. That was my mom's wish, and it just so happened there was a Catholic priest there and performed the ceremony, as far as I know.
That's great. So from starting up there, like, when did you start getting interested in this this whole ghost hunting thing? I mean, is this something you over the years kind of slowly became interested in, or what kind of sparked that?
Actually, to be honest with you, I had my first, sighting of an apparition back when I was 7 years old, back in 1967. Mm-hmm. And it pretty much freaked me out, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. And off and on throughout my life, I've had things that happened that I could not explain or, couldn't grasp my brain around. And so I was always asking questions, and I was always interested primarily in, why do ghosts appear? Why do things happen? Why do things get moved around? That type of thing, And then in 2010, my wife bought me a ghost hunting kit because at that time we were interested in watching all these paranormal TV shows that were going on. And I told her, I said, I think I could give that a shot for a hobby and see what I can do. And so she brought me this kit, and it was just a basic paranormal kit. It had a recorder, and it had motion sensors, and what they call a Gauss meter. And actually, I had the recorder with me, and I was at a friend's house. This was back in 2010. And he was always complaining about how he was missing all of his tools and that out in his garage. And he'd always hear people talking, but he couldn't figure out where they were coming from. So I said, well, hey, I just happen to have my recorder in the car. I'll go get it, and we'll come back. And first of all, he looked at me just like everybody else does today. And, pretty much like I'm an alien. I told everybody I was an alien instead of a paranormal investigator. And we sat there for a while and just talked, and I asked a few questions. Of course, the people I was with, the owner of the garage and a friend of his, they were trying as best they could not to laugh.
Right.
And so I stopped the recorder and I played it back. And we actually got something that came out to be Get Out, which made the owner of the garage mad because he was like, I'm not getting out of my garage, you get out of here type of thing. And they were actually kind of shocked about that. And so I brought the recorder home and played it for my wife, and she said, I really don't care if you get into this hobby of yours of ghost hunting, just don't bring anything home.
Right. Yeah.
So that basically got it all started, and I just started reading and going to the library and just kind of getting my knowledge up on the paranormal and other aspects of the word, and pretty much went from there.
Mm-hmm. What was the experience when you were a kid, when you were 7 years old? You said you had an experience. Was it just something you saw, or?
Yeah, it was. I was actually in bed and I was sound asleep, but something woke me up. And in the door frame leading into my bedroom, I saw a woman standing there. She was fairly tall. She had her hair done up in what they call a cummerbund, and she was wearing a long Victorian dress of that age period, I guess. I'm thinking probably about the 1800s. And I knew my mom didn't wear anything like that, and so I called out to whoever was standing there, and I couldn't really see her facial features, but I know that she was looking at me. And so I slowly got out of bed. This person, or whatever, she turned around very elegantly and started walking down the hallway. And so when I got up and I ran to the door, I was wondering why she was going down the hallway, because my parents' bedroom was right off of mine, and she wasn't there. And I went to all the rooms, and I peeked in my parents' room, and my parents are sound asleep. So I got that lump in my throat, and my hair on my arms stood up, and I was like, wow. And my mom and my dad were always complaining to each other about, you move my stuff, no, you move my stuff. And even some things that I owned were showing up in different places.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was about the same time period, 1967, I actually seen what everybody describes now as a shadow person.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't quite sure what that was, but I tell you what, that scared me to where I always went to bed from then on with my head under the covers. But no, throughout my life, I've just had different experiences, things that happened.
Did you look into the house you were that you were living in? Did you try to see what the history to that house has, like now that you've been getting into all this, or?
Yeah, actually, I did. The school I went to was called Elijah Buell School. Elijah Buell was one of the prominent founders of the city of Clinton, mostly in the northern section of the town. It used to be called Lyons. And he was an entrepreneur, and we actually lived in the house that he lived in. So it was a pebblestone siding type of home, and it was pretty good size. And the place always kind of gave me the creeps. I really didn't like being by myself there as I was getting older. But that's pretty much about it. I just know that he was an entrepreneur and he was a finance person. He was in the banking also, and that was about it.
Yeah. Yeah, because I hear these types of stories more, because I'm in Southern California. I live in the suburbs, and we don't really hear too many, things about, possible weird things happening in these new houses. But whenever I hear a story, it's always in like an older neighborhood or something that's, or closer in towards a city that was founded years and years ago. The Midwest, of course, you have you had houses that are very old, and then moving even over to the East Coast. I know that there's some places there is places in California, but is that generally like what you find to happen as far as any hauntings go, or have you seen anything happen in more?
I've done other investigations, or I should say ghost hunting, in other areas like apartment buildings. And what used to be, I just got done doing a little ghost hunt at a place called Cambridge Apartments here in town in Clinton, Iowa. And it used to be an army barracks, and it used to be an army hospital also as well. And it was pretty much community within a community. I can't give you the exact square footage of the place, but it's huge. But now it's all apartment buildings, and people throughout the years have told me you really need to go up and check this place out because we see people walking down the halls. We don't know. They don't respond when we ask them who they're looking for or what they want. And people are always hearing screams and a lot of knocking and footsteps, and basically about the same thing. Like I said, we did a little ghost hunt up there. I took a couple of friends along with, besides our team members, and we did catch some interesting EVPs, and we didn't actually catch any ghosts. That's primarily what I've been trying to hunt for, is to get an actual picture of an apparition.
Yeah.
But like I said, Clinton is full of history. It used to be a place where they started out with logging community. And also, since we live right off the Mississippi River, there was quite a few ice making companies also that just, went out in the river, cut the ice, cleaned it, whatever they did to it back in those days, and distribute it. So.
And so, with you like experiencing, apparitions and seeing things here and there, and interested in this sort of thing, like, do you have explanations? Have you, try to find like explanations to yourself on why you're seeing these, or why, someone like you would be a little more aware of this type of?
Well, I guess primarily going back to that time frame of 1967, it just startled me and scared me, and it kind of excited me. It's like somebody that sees Bigfoot, for instance. Other people sit there and they say, they're crackpots, or, what kind of drugs they've been doing lately, whatnot. And it's kind of the same thing for a ghost hunter. Once something happens to you, you're pretty much, you just want to see more of it. I can't really explain it. You just want to see more of it. You want to have it happen to you again, so you can actually put your mind and wrap around it and try to get an idea as to why it's happening.
Right. So you're more interested in finding and not necessarily researching, but just trying to find answers. Not necessarily like, because the paranormal researcher I interviewed, he would actually come in and try to like rid houses of ghosts and things like that. Are you more just in the hunting aspect of it, trying to get things captured?
Actually, no. I also I try to get them, the apparition, the entity, the spirit, to go into the light, as they say, and move on, instead of being in that realm of God, and I can't even think of the word, purgatory, and to get them to go, into a heavenly being instead of being a wandering spirit. And also, my last investigation prompted. We found out after a couple of visits that we had a demonic entity on our hands, and that was pretty interesting.
What would you consider the difference between the two? Is the more the demonic more violent, or just what?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, it is more violent. A demonic entity, such as a demon, it can be one where people can be harmed that's living in the household. Pretty much, from my experiences and what I've heard talking to other investigators, is that people invite these entities into their home. Sometimes, without realizing what they're doing. Just like I talked to a lady last year that told me she bought all 3 of her kids Ouija boards. And and I was looking at her, and I was like, "And you think I'm crazy?" I'm not putting down the Ouija board. I'm just saying is that
it's always freaked me out.
It's to me, it's an instrument of communication. Why they ever made it into a toy at one time, like say in the early 1900s, it was big on seances and whatnot. And when they actually brought into the spirit board or speaking board or the Ouija board, people didn't realize just exactly what they were doing. And since all this paranormal phenomenon has kind of risen and everybody seems to want to get into it, I believe that they're opening portals from another dimension that's inviting these entities into their homes, which can be a big mistake.
Mm-hmm.
But I also want to help out the homeowner because a lot of people don't understand what's going on. Why it started out with maybe knocking noises or footsteps or scratching noises or whatever, and why they're feeling cold spots or even hot spots in their home. And they're like, I know I put my car keys here. Why are they, in the back bedroom, or it could be anything that they have that could be possibly moved.
That happens to me, but it's because of my 3-year-old.
Been there, done that. Sir.
Right. This is fascinating. I mean, have you seen anyone like as physically harmed at all? Like you're saying, like separating from like demonic activity
Yes.
from more of the paranormal. Like,
I've seen a 2-year-old had 3 scratches going down his arm and part of his back. He also seen a bite mark that was that he had suffered. But the one thing that is odd about the scratches and the bite mark were only there for like a 24-hour period, and then they were gone.
Wow. And that was in the course of one of your investigations there?
Yes.
Wow. So when you do these investigations, like what's the normal operating procedure? I mean, does it vary from house to house? Like, say if I had some weird goings on in my house, and I contacted you, what would be the procedure? I guess we would follow through.
Well, first of all, I would have somebody come over and get permission to either be filmed or recorded on a tape player, just to get to know the owner of the home, find out, what exactly is going on in the home. Pretty much from there, we would ask for permission to do the research on the home and or the property, because it could be a brand new home, but it all depends on the property and the history of the land itself. From there on, then we kind of sit there and look at the information that we got from the history and see if we can kind of do we put all the whatever is going on in the home, whether it be footsteps, anything that can't be explained, and try to match them up and see if we can come up with an idea as to why this phenomena is happening. Then we go into the home. We ask that the homeowner could leave. If they can't leave, if they can just be in one room at the time. And we do a base sweep reading with a meter that we use to check for electromagnetic fluctuations. And that's high, that'd be high electrical pulses throughout the air. And we check each room. And then from then on, we hook up. Usually it only takes a couple people to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody to write down everything, and somebody with a meter to tell them where there might be a high electrical fluctuation in a corner or an appliance or toy or anything like that. So it can be pushed aside and said, okay, well, we find out, where that's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go from there. We hook up our cameras, and we have any still cameras that we put up. Like, say, if somebody says, they've seen something walk down a hallway, or something appear in the mirror, or, knocking noises or scratching noises, we put a camera on that to see if we can try to catch anything. And then we go about basically with trying to address whatever might be in the home, see if we can get any kind of feedback. And then after we're all done, after spending time going through all the data that we have gathered, then we come to a base of where we can tell the owner if they actually do have something, and possibly help them try to either rid of whatever spirit or negativity energy that's in the home. And we've been pretty successful, even though we just started out
Mm-hmm.
as an investigation team. We've been successful on a couple of investigations. Except for except for the demonic one. That one we had to turn over to the Catholic diocese in the Quad Cities here in Iowa.
And that's what I was going to ask you. Like, when you come into something that that sort of thing, like with the demonic presence, what do you just call them up and let them know, or as far as the Catholic diocese goes, or? Well,
no, actually, what we do is we make contact with the Catholic priest that's assigned to this area from the diocese of the Quad Cities. And we, for a town our size of about 28,000, we have actually only 2 Catholic priests. And one of them, his name's, I can't remember his last name right offhand, I don't have that information. His name's Father Bob. But after talking with him and all that, I just wanted to tell him that I wanted to get a kind of a relationship going on with him. But after speaking to him initially the very first time, I come to find out that I believe that there's a lot more of this phenomenon as far as demonic goes going on just in our hometown. And it kind of startled me a little bit, like, if you guys know about this, I didn't realize that they were that busy, so to speak. But apparently there seems to be quite a bit of it going on. It's just that a lot of people like to keep their mouths shut because they don't want to stir anything up and they don't want to make anything angry.
Right.
Which I really don't understand, the fact that how can you live a life in a home, that you've spent years either trying to purchase or build your own home, and find out that you've got uninvited guests walking around.
So that's interesting. So the Catholic Church has pretty much, from what you're what you're seeing here, is they do deal with this quite a bit, because there was I feel like there was a documentary a few years back and I tried to track it down about someone who actually did exorcisms, and it seemed to be something that they had like people trained to do.
Yeah,
So
they have people that have been trained in exorcisms, and they're also professional demonologists, and they do work with the Catholic Church to go around and try to get enough information to where the Catholic Church will step in and perform an exorcism on the house or the people that live in the house.
They seem to be the only kind of religious organization that seems to be willing to tackle stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, a lot of other religious groups, they'll talk to you about it, but they really don't handle. And most of the time, they will tell you you have to probably go through the Catholic Church to handle such situations. And what I'm looking at is possibility that because when Christianity was born, the very first religion to come off of Christianity was the Catholic Church itself, and so I guess that's probably where it dates back to. You know, back in even the days of of Jesus Christ. And I'm not saying that that's true or not. That would take a lot more information than what I got.
Right.
But it just seemed to me kind of odd after the very first meeting with the Catholic priest that he just looked to me like, it's like he was looking at me, and the way his facial appearance was and the way he was, just standing there talking to me, it sounded like he had already been busy with other cases, such as the one that I was on. But like I said, primarily the reason why I got into this hobby, and the reason why I call it a hobby is because I don't get paid. To me, the excitement and the understanding and trying to figure out why this phenomena happens, I guess, is payment enough. Though, my last investigation, I was like, the homeowner said, you really should get paid for this. And I said, you better keep that thought to yourself, because I'm going to hit you. I'm going to hit you with quite a bill.
Right.
Because it did do damage to my equipment.
Oh, wow.
Besides other people getting hurt, a couple of my team members suffered extreme stomach pains. One of the family members, I actually recorded, they were throwing up blood. And so, it can get kind of ugly, and people don't realize that, if you got something like that in your home, take my advice and get a hold of a Catholic priest or any kind of Catholic diocese in your area. And, but most Catholic priests and dioceses and the church itself, they need some pretty good evidence.
Okay. So you kind of have to build a case to present to them.
Yes.
Okay. So that's where you'd come in and help build the case.
Yes.
So this last one was the demonic presence. Last one. What kind of damage did they do to the to your equipment? Was it stuff falling down, or?
Well, actually, I had a camera malfunction. I can't get it to work anymore. It was working perfectly fine. I've had digital recorders that quit working altogether and won't turn back on. Tried changing the batteries out or whatever.
Yeah.
I had what they call an IR light, which is lighting that you can see in the dark with to assist the camera. And I had one of those melt on me. And actually, I had loaned a blessed crucifix to the homeowner, and when they gave it back to me, it was all bent. And And I was like,
Wow.
yeah. So,
So they didn't like that there.
I really didn't, to be honest with you, I was kind of skeptical about all that when
Uh-huh.
I first started. But what I have seen and, the stuff that I own that has been damaged, I can honestly say that there is some kind of a presence out there that is negative energy.
Mm-hmm.
I can't put a finger on it, or I can't sit there and say, you're a demon, or,
Right.
you're the devil, or whatever. That has to be presented to the fact to the church, and then I guess they have a meeting, and then they decide what they're going to do from there.
Wow, that's fascinating. So you call yourself a ghost hunter. There's different labels on this type of research that goes on. Some say paranormal investigator. Some people say ghost hunting. Is there a difference, or is it all kind of under the same umbrella?
Okay, a ghost hunter is somebody that just does it, I can say, primarily for fun.
Okay.
They want to find out themselves. They can catch a ghost run by them in a doorway,
Right.
or take a digital recorder and catch a voice. And, it's just out of speculation for a ghost hunter.
Mm-hmm.
A paranormal investigator will actually do the footwork. They'll check on the history. What they'll do is, we have instruments that we use to detect any kind of phenomenon. And that's, it's pretty much like being a private investigator, where you're handling a case of maybe somebody that's been somebody trying to murder another person, or, pretty much just try to sit there and see if there's any foul play.
Mm-hmm.
But the paranormal investigator looks for phenomena.
Okay. Wow. So you've been doing this with about 5 years?
Yes.
Okay. What's been the what's been the craziest investigation you've come across so far? Was it this last one, or
the last one? Yeah.
Okay.
The other ones have been pretty much, we've caught shadows and footsteps and messages on the recorder, disembodied voice, I call them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just either somebody that has lived in the house before, or a relative that either is, they say that ghosts sometimes they come back to haunt the person. It's not so much haunting as it is they have unfinished business, or they got a message, or they got something they need to tell.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're a relative, or the next generation, of their relatives, or somebody that's just mad because they're doing renovations to the house or whatever that they used to live in,
Mm-hmm.
and they want things to stay the way they are. But like I say, a demonic entity, that's something that's brought into the home either by an object, because a spirit or an entity will attach itself to an object.
Mm-hmm.
And if something's brought into the home, or even if somebody has, like, say, a negative outlook on life, they're always in a bad mood, they can't stand their fellow human being,
Mm-hmm.
they can actually bring on a negative presence into the home also.
Okay.
And they can follow you home.
Yeah. So when you use these instruments, like the recording and things like that, how can you? This is what I always wanted to know, because I see this, like, I see it happen in movies. I've seen, I've checked out a lot of ghost hunting things here and there, and I actually tried to listen to these recordings. Like, how can you tell? Because to me, it kind of just sounds like gibberish. I can't really make it out. How can you tell if it's actually, oh, that's a ghost speaking, or that's a something paranormal, as opposed to just kind of just random noise or something that you didn't hear when you were there, but
Well, you got to have, it takes a little practice.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't sit there and take a recorder and, you hear a mouse squeak or something like that and say, oh my God, that's paranormal. That's why I'm kind of working on, with a couple of new team members, is trying to get them to where they can hear things on a recorder. Primarily is I do have a program for my computer that I use that kind of filters out the ambient noise and the white noise that you hear about. So you can be able to hear, if there's anything possible. And most of the time what we do is on the recorders, when we do hear it, we kind of match it up with the video, and we kind of mark it off and say, okay, you didn't talk.
Gotcha. So
and nobody else was in the house. So could it be, I do believe in ghosts, to be honest with you, and that there's some kind of phenomena out there, but you have to know what, old homes creak, they make noises. It could be the wind outside, any kind of outside contamination whatsoever. You have to throw out 90% of that. And, you think you watch, like, say, on these TV programs such as Ghost Adventures.
Yeah.
These guys seem to catch stuff all the time. Well, they're there for a full week. They're going in this building night after night.
Right.
And they're picking the best parts out. And, of course, their editing crew and whatever producers, they put everything together and make it look like they spend one night of an investigation when it's a continuous thing. And I've been to investigations where heard absolutely nothing. And these people, the owners of the homes or the renters, swear up and down that there's something there. And that's where, like, say, take, for instance, an EMF, electromagnetic fluctuations. It could be anything from from a radio that's right by your head that wakes you up in the morning, alarm clock, lighting, anything, a wall receptacle. What that'll do is the EMFs will, they can have you, they actually can produce hallucinations, give you the feeling that you're being watched. They cause you severe headaches. So that's another thing too, is if we find something like, okay, your bedroom's right next to the main circuit board panel on the on your house, and if we find that is giving off high electronic field, that we can tell the owner, you might have a problem with your wiring. You might want to get it checked because we're getting high. And then we explain to them what the EMFs are, and then possibly that, after a period of time, it could do some damage to your health.
That's very interesting.
So it's not just that we go around saying spook, 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 spook. It's we go in there and we try to debunk anything. I mean, somebody's like, say you got an upstairs bathroom with a shower or a bathtub, and somebody's using water quite a bit, and you hear pipes rattling, and sometimes people can't put two and two together, and they say, what's that noise? What's that rattling noise? And so we also go around, we make sure that the pipes are all attached to either the joists or to the wall. So it could be a number of things.
Yeah. Now, when you conduct investigations, do you do them in the dark and the light? Have you done like any of the lockdowns?
No, we don't. We don't do the lockdown thing, primarily because I believe for my team it's a health issue.
Right.
If somebody does get hurt and you're locked in somewhere, you don't know, particularly if the homeowner or the landowner is going to be somewhere nearby or sleeping in their car or whatever. You know, if you can, you can't try to get them out. So I don't go for that.
There's a great article on there's a website called it's the Committee for Skeptical Inquiry.
Yes.
And they have there's an article about ghost hunting mistakes that I stumbled across, and they're saying that lockdowns are pretty much ineffective, and even on all these ghost hunting shows, everything's in the dark, everything's in night vision, but what's said here is that's not necessarily needed. It's dramatic, but the ghosts don't care if the lights are on or not. Is it just because certain hours of the day, say that like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m.
In the evening hours, it's always been said that the veil, which is supposed to be some kind of energy field that between our living world and the underworld, is thin. It'll be the thinnest on the 31st, because of Sam Bain and the tradition of Halloween and whatnot. But you can have anything happen. A ghost, I believe, or a spirit or an entity will show itself to you if it chooses to. Like I've said, I've been on a couple of ghost hunts and a couple of investigations where you don't get nothing. You don't catch anything. And then we're kind of stumped as to what we're going to tell the landowner or the homeowner. And we try to give them the benefit of the doubt. And, but most of the times we do. And have caught voices in broad daylight. We haven't really caught anything daytime. That's where the IR light for night vision helps out. Because how the ultraviolet spectrum can see things that the normal eyes can't. So you might be able to catch something go by or see something move. So.
What do you think about all these movies? Because since that movie, I guess Paranormal Activity, and then there's the Conjuring, and all these movies have come out. I mean, it's not a new thing, and of course there's always like the Amityville horror, which was based on an actual event, an actual family. But what do you think about this in the entertainment realm? Like, now that you've been doing it for about 5 years, do you see these movies through a different lens? Do you
all I see is that they enhance everything. It's Hollywood.
Right.
If you just see something go by your peripheral vision, Hollywood will make it look like it's stomping down the hallway.
Exactly.
Or it's forming, and there's all kinds of different how a shadow can be made up, and an ugly face put in that shadow. They're just out to give you the scare factor, and there are a lot of people that enjoy the scare factor. But if you really want the scare factor, come go on an investigation. I'll show you something that'll have you say, "What was that?"
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I've thought about it before. I've had the opportunity to, but I wasn't able to because of work and everything. I can't really do an all night investigation thing. But when I started thinking about it, my heart starts racing and my hair starts standing up on back of my neck. But yeah, I mean, I feel like most of the investigation stuff that you read about, it's nothing like you see in the movies at all. It's everything is very subtle. Even with, like, if there are scratches appearing on someone, it still is very subtle, and you almost well,
I mean, like, if you're sitting there and you're being totally silent in the room, and you're asking questions. I just wished I was just joking with one of the other team members about, don't you wish you could just have that background music to make it more flavorful.
Yeah.
Put a little bit more excitement into it.
Yeah, 'cause I
But
feel like the
just-
shows, like these ghost hunting shows, they kind of play to the camera quite a bit as well.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's pretty much, what whoever is doing the investigation has a certain belief, but the producers and the company that's putting on the show on TV and paying who's ever doing the investigations, well, I presume, they want results and they'll do whatever to enhance,
Yeah.
But I do honestly believe that there are some things that have been put out there on TV that are true. Like I say, once again, I bring up the one TV show, Ghost Adventures, their first documentary they did back in 2004 with the brick levitating and the board flying. I don't believe that they had anything to do to stage that, and the way they reacted to it. I'd probably be running down the hallway screaming like a little girl myself.
Yeah. Has doing this kind of enhanced your worldview of the spiritual, of things like that? Has it changed? Have you changed since you started doing this as far as your belief system goes, or?
I believe my senses have gotten a little bit more crisper.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit more aware of my surroundings compared to what I used to do, and beforehand. It's not like I'm out looking for everything. It's just that I do react anytime I hear a tap or a movement, but I don't say it's a ghost phenomena or
Right.
anything like that. But like I said, we had experiences here when I first moved into my house. It hadn't been lived in for 2 years, and the house was built in 1914, and it needed some work done to it, and we were doing just replacing carpet, that type of thing, painting walls, put in a new bathroom, whatever. And we had things that we couldn't really explain.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife is very skeptical. She's got to say, you got to have a ghost stand there and look me straight in the eye and say boo before I believe anything.
Yeah. I mean that's kind of how I am, and I know that I'm very interested in this subject matter, and I've run into people throughout my life. There's actually a neighbor who she says she can sense things, and she can, like, her and I would be in a conversation, and she would all of a sudden pause and kind of look over my shoulder, and her eyes would track something go by, and she would just go kind of shrug it off. She'd, oh, somebody just came in the room.
Yeah.
Things like that. So that whenever she does that, I kind of get the tingling thing, but I don't sense anything. I haven't been in that situation. So yeah, I'm always very much, the doubting Thomas type, right? Show me something tangible. And that's where you see you see a lot of pictures and things like that where, and none of the photographic evidence is ever clear. And I don't think, I would be shocked to find a non-tampered with picture of a ghost that is crystal clear. I don't think that's ever going to happen. You get pictures of these orbs and everything like that. Like, but for me, I'm like, well, are you sure it wasn't the dust hitting the light or anything like that? Like, have you gotten pictures of orbs, and how would you explain those coming through the camera? And how would you tell if they're not, say, like a speck of dust just being hit by the
just by its movement, but it's hard to say just with a photograph. If it's just a photograph with a big ball of white mass, I'm going to have to dismiss it because I can't see how it's acting or how it's traveling.
Okay. So you'd rather have like kind of more of a video evidence of an orb coming in and out of the frame.
Because you even bugs can do the same thing, but if you sit there and you take a good look at it and slow the video down, you can pretty much tell if it's something that can't be explained or if it's just a bug with big wings that flap at a high speed.
Have you tried to use this to try to to get in touch with family members or like that who have passed, or have you had any kind of personal experience, with spirits?
No. There was an instance when my mother was still alive. Her sister, my aunt, had passed away. And after the funeral and the burial, we went back to Mom's house for a little potluck thing. And the phone had rang, and one of my sisters had answered the phone. And, she called out for Mom, and Mom asked, well, who in the heck be calling me? People that know me know that, something's going on. And she goes, I can't make out who it is, Mom. They're asking for you.
Huh.
So my mom answered the phone. As soon as she got on, she said hello, whatever. And I was standing in the hall or the doorway going from the living room into the kitchen, and I happened to notice that her face just turned white. And she dropped the phone, and she cuffed her mouth like she was in horror.
Wow.
And we had to kind of help her over, sit in the kitchen table chair. And, we asked, well, what's going on? Because I picked up the phone and I said, hello, hello. And it was a bunch of static. And then it went back to its normal dial tone. And so I just hung up the phone, and I was, we were trying to ask her what was going on. And she was very jittery and sweaty to the touch. And she said it was Aunt Helen. She was trying to tell me something. And everybody in the room just stopped talking.
Wow. Yeah.
Because everybody heard her say that, and everybody's, you could hear the needle scratch across the record. And, we just all looked at each other, and it took a little bit, I had to get my mom to get her back to herself.
Mm-hmm.
And, but that's about the only thing, related that I can tell you.
Yeah, and then that's when I say, like, it's not like the movies. It's a lot more subtle. This type of stuff. I know. Have you? And this is a question I've had because recently, people who listen to the show know that one of the reasons for kind of my search for truth and things like that was because my brother-in-law passed away at the age of 25, and kind of going through that. And we've had. It's just in our family, it's been something that every October, it was in October, and every October, things, strange things happen every now and then. And just recently, my nephew was in the bathroom, and he was giggling and laughing and looking at the water in the toilet, and my sister-in-law asked him what was going on, and he said, "Oh, it's Uncle Jacob. He's making faces at me." So I don't know, I don't know if that's something of just his imagination or whatever, but he knows who his uncle is, but he's had never met him. He's seen pictures and everything. We've had other things with some of the kids saying kind of odd things around this time, and I don't know if it's from, say, influence from the family just talking about him, or if they actually are more in tune with kind of seeing things from the other side. Have you had experiences with children that differ from like an adult as far as are they more in tune with things?
Yeah, actually, my last investigation, we could sit there and watch the toddler. That was the main focus of why we were there. He was going being attacked on a constant level, and he would go up to walls, like corners of the walls, and stand there and act like he was having a normal conversation. Or, he would wake up just about every night at about 20 after 3 in the morning and be screaming, "Get out, get out."
Oh,
wow. I've seen it. It was recorded by his grandmother on her cell phone of him doing that, which I don't have a copy of. I wish I did. I tried to get a copy of it, but I don't know what happened there. But I did see it, and I was like, well, hey, that's something to go by. But children are, they always say that children, your soul, your energy, your life force is more pure at that age. And so ghosts or entities or spirits will try to communicate with a child, there's been cases where children have seen passed on relatives who might not know who they are, but they feel that warmth. They feel that, either they feel like they're being protected, or they can trust that whatever it is, compared to the shock of being scared.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, you got to look at the fact is too that a demonic entity will, it can change its shape, form, voice. It's got the will to get the trust of a child.
Right. Would that be the same thing like for animals as well? Do animals kind of sense things differently?
Oh yeah. The people that I did that last investigation, they had 3 dogs. Now 2 of them seemed to act fine, but the third dog never hardly came out. Since they started having problems, hardly ever came out of its kennel.
Huh.
And when it did, it ran outside to go to the bathroom. A lot of times they couldn't get the dog to come back into the home. And like say, I tried an experiment with the dog, and I practically had to pick it up and bring it into the house,
Wow.
which I didn't actually pick it up, but I grabbed it by the collar and I tried to force it to see what it would do, what its reaction would be. And I'm surprised it didn't try to bite me. And I felt sorry for the animal because it can't speak for itself. It can't tell you what's going on.
Right.
But they seem to have a better perception of what's going on around their environment.
That's pretty fascinating. Wow. Well, that's some fascinating stuff. So where are you preparing for anything else right now? Do you have another?
We're going to be probably working on another case here within about 2 weeks. The family is gone on vacation.
Oh, okay.
It's a older couple. They have their kids are grown up and gone, but they seem to think that they've got an angry presence in their home, and we're not too sure where that's going to go. It could be just a malevolent spirit, which is one that's just mad, and or it's got like a kind of a negative energy to it. But we're also there's a place here in town, Ghost Adventures. I brought him up again. Just did a TV show about a month ago. It's called Edinburgh Manor.
Oh, okay.
Here in Iowa, and we're going to be heading there to. I've never actually been in any of these big places that you see these big production ghost crews go to.
Yeah.
So we had an opportunity to go there, so I'm taking them up on the offer.
All right. Do you have a website set up for anything like this, or?
No, working on that part of it.
Yeah.
About the only thing I could tell you is that we do have a couple of small videos on YouTube, and of course I'm not Steven Spielberg, so I can't tell you the quality of the videos, but it kind of gives you a sense of what's going on. There's because during one of the nights that we took to the house and started the investigation, a lot of the video and audio was contaminated, unfortunately. That's when I told you about the IR light had melted. And so we really didn't catch a heck of a lot, and there was a lot of evidence to catch that night. Unfortunately, we didn't get it. We didn't get it on, but there's going to be other times. Like I said,
Right.
I've been on a couple investigations where there's absolutely nothing, and then there's just going on a ghost hunt. And I swear to God, it's like they wanted to carry a normal conversation on the voice recorder.
Wow. Well, that's awesome. I wish you all the best with that stuff. Looking forward to hearing some reports from you in the future.
Oh, I'll be more than happy to talk to you some more.
Very cool.
I'm grateful for your time and letting me be on the show.
Before we sign off, Ray, are I'd like to know, like, what advice can you give to somebody who, because, the movie Ouija, it came out, earlier in the year. And
I've seen the movie.
There seems to be more, people more want to dabble in this kind of stuff. What advice would you give to people to dabble?
I would give it to somebody that's I would have somebody else handle it. I wouldn't exactly do it myself. I myself don't own a Ouija board. I've had a couple people offer me their Ouija boards, and I've refused to take them because you don't know what their history is. Because, like I said before, spirits, entities, ghosts, whatever, they can attach themselves to inanimate objects, and you don't know the history of where that game or whatever it is that you're bringing into your home. One thing that I can understand is that people have a perception that they're going to catch the big picture of a ghost or something, and going to present it to either YouTube or somebody else, and they're going to see their names and lights. It's not going to happen. I can guarantee you that. That's not what I'm into it for. I'm more into it for I just want to help some people.
Yeah.
And I want to know myself. I want to know a little bit more about what's going on. Why did that ghost appear to me when I was 7 years old? That type of thing. So all I can say is, you got to take it serious. Just like with any other hobby, if you really want to get into it, it can be costly with the equipment, but you can do it with a flashlight, recorder, and just listen to your body.
Yeah.
I mean, your body will tell you if you're coming up against something that's touching you or looking at you or whatnot. So.
Wow. Yeah. Even though it said who markets the Ouija board, is that Milton Bradley or someone like that? Right? Hasbro? I don't know.
Hasbro. No, Hasbro has it now, but
okay.
Milton Bradley did have it for a number of years, but Hasbro has it now, and I honestly I can't really think of what the percentage is, but I think it was like the spike in sales on the Ouija board has gone up like 67%.
Yeah. Does that concern you? That people are kind of just treating it as a game?
Yeah, like I said, I mentioned the portals before. If you don't understand what a portal is, especially in the ghost world, portal is something that you can open up. You can't see, but you can invite things from another realm, either in your home or any place. And if you do not know what that is, you're flirting with disaster. And like I have had experiences watching other people play it, and a couple of them have had bad experiences, and I didn't really relate any of that until I started getting more into what I'm doing now.
Right.
So I just say is just go by the rules. If you want to play with that stuff, you're the one that's in charge.
Right.
Just make sure you don't stumble and fall.
Yeah.
And also make sure you do a world of good by asking for permission to go on other people's properties. Don't just sit there and hop fences and go into abandoned homes and think that you might not get caught. There's always that possibility, and it can end badly for you. And it's a bad rap for all us people that do ghost hunting and investigating for a hobby.
Yeah. Cool. All right, Ray. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate talking to you about all this stuff.
Oh, hey, no problem. And can I plug myself for a second?
Of course you can.
All right. My name is Ray Friis. I'm lead investigator and founder of Ghost Alive Paranormal. We are located in Clinton, Iowa. And if you're in the surrounding area, give me a call at, can I get my telephone number?
Sure.
Okay. It's 563-503-2145.
Right.
And I would be more than happy to discuss anything. You got a problem or you want to know about something, I'll be happy to answer if I can possibly can.
There you go. Cool. All right, Ray. Thanks again, and wish you all the best of luck with all this.
All right. Thank you so very much.
Well, that's going to do it for this week's show. Hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. You can go over to the AxPx.com. You can find links to us over on Facebook and Twitter, as well as YouTube. I'm going to try to be upgrading and adding all of our shows to YouTube. I had a channel in the past. Probably going to delete that and start fresh. But I'm going to start up just a new YouTube channel for all the old shows, for those of you who get your podcasts that way. And I'll be keeping up every week. The show will be posted there as well. And of course, you can find that older podcast. It's number 8, season 1, podcast number 8, where I talked to John Kirchhoff, founder of Full Tech Paranormal Investigations. You can find that podcast episode there if you want to check that out. I'll include the link into the show notes as well. So all of you have a great week. If you ever have ideas for guests or topics or anything like that, just drop me a line on Twitter. Twitter's the best way. Twitter over at it's at the AxPx. Drop me a line there. There also is a contact form on the website. You can shoot me an email that way as well. All of you guys have a great week. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.
We must search for what is truth.
What is truth? And what is God?
You don't really want an answer to that question.
The first duty is to the truth, whether it's scientific truth or historical truth or personal truth.
That's really what you want in life. You want to feel connected. You want to feel relevant. You want to feel like you're a participant in the goings-on of activities and events around you. That's precisely what we are, just by being alive.